Hello everyone. Well, as expected, quite a bit of thunderstorm activity in central and western Nebraska yesterday and last night, but not so much in the eastern part of the state. However, I think that's going to change later today. Now, 8 a.m. this morning, just talking about some isolated showers. The best chance is in southeastern Nebraska, but even there, far from a guarantee that you're going to see rain for the morning commute. When things are going to get more interesting, looks to be about 2 o'clock this afternoon. This was when new storms are going to start to fire up, and it looks like most likely place for these new storms to start to fire up is going to be the northeastern part of the state. So Sioux City, Norfolk, Columbus. Not going to rule it out in Lincoln and Omaha, but I think the better chance of storms is going to be in the late afternoon and early evening. Now, just like we talked about yesterday, most of the storms that pop up today are just going to be regular thunderstorms, heavy rain, lightning, but we do have to keep a chance in there for some damaging wind and hail. It's not a big chance, but we might see a couple of storms overachieve and be on the stronger side. And notice that in the central and western part of the state at 2 o'clock, completely dry. But now we're looking at 5 o'clock and look at new storms firing up to the west as well, probably initially in the Panhandle. And look how the thunderstorm activity continuing in the eastern part of the state. In fact, a little bit more showing up. Notice a little bit more around the Lincoln and Omaha area. So this is homebound commute time. So I do need to make you aware that it is a possibility you could encounter some heavy rain and lightning for the homebound commute. And then an outside chance, yes, for some damaging wind and hail. More likely not, but do need to mention it as a chance. Let's also talk about temperatures today and wind. Notice a little bit cooler to the west, warmer to the east. So many in eastern Nebraska topping out in the upper 80s, but as you make your way to the west, a little bit cooler, only topping out in the low 80s as you get into the Panhandle. Also a little bit more wind in the Panhandle, gusts around 20 miles per hour for the eastern half of the state. Just a light breeze, gusts around 15 miles per hour. So this is the chance for storms beginning in the Panhandle, and also got to mention that just like we're talking about in the eastern part of the state, there is an outside chance for some severe storms in the western part of the state as well. Now we're looking at 8 o'clock, and this will probably be when the storms are actually starting to wind down in the eastern part of the state, but likely hitting their peak in the Panhandle. So slightly different timing here. Actually a weak cold front coming into the western part of the state, and we just have an area of low pressure in the eastern part of the state. But the big takeaway is, notice the gap in the middle. So it's going to be stormier in the far eastern part of the state, stormier in the far western part of the state, but in the central part of the state, North Platte, Kearney, Grand Island, going to leave in a chance for showers and storms, but it is smaller than the eastern and western part of the state. By 11 o'clock, notice in both locations, east and west, the activity is starting to die down. There's still going to be storms around. I'm still going to leave it an outside chance for maybe a couple of stronger storms, but I do think they're going to be losing their intensity. And by the time we get to 1 a.m., could still have a couple of weak storms. It's mostly going to be showers, but the chance for severe storms going away. So there's a chance for severe storms in both eastern and western Nebraska today, as early as 2 o'clock this afternoon to as late as 1 a.m. tonight. Now, in both locations, most of thunderstorms, just regular thunderstorms. But it is possible that both couple of storms in eastern Nebraska and a couple of storms in western Nebraska could overachieve, and in those overachieving storms, could see up to penny-size hail, wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour. And because these storms not particularly fast moving, we could see a few spots, though it won't be widespread, a few spots see up to 2 inches of rain. And if that 2 inches of rain occurs in a low-lying or poorly drained location, yes, we could see a few flooded roads. Now, looking ahead to tomorrow, I'm not concerned about severe storms tomorrow, but I do think there are going to be more showers and storms, just not as much activity. We're looking at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, and this looks similar to what we're going to see this morning. Some isolated showers and leftover weak storms, once again, most likely in the southeastern part of the state. Jump ahead to lunchtime and still isolated activity, but mostly showers and significant gaps. So once we get into the afternoon, when storms tend to peak this time of year, notice 3 o'clock, yeah, we got some new storms popping up, but not as much as today. And it looks like actually for tomorrow, best chance is going to be in the north central part of the state. Notice the cool down because of today's cold front in the western part of the state. So you get in the Panhandle, and we're talking about even in probably North Platte. High temperatures just in the mid 70s, but as you get to the east, cold front not arriving, so still reaching the upper 80s. I noticed that the chance for showers and storms will continue into the early evening hours, but not as much as what we're going to see early this evening. So not as many showers and storms tomorrow, and no chance of severe storms for tomorrow.